Hello again, boys and girls. Now today is the day that I've been waiting for. This is the day where we're going to use all of our skills that we've developed over the last few weeks to help us to write our own diary entry. So that's our objective today, to write a diary entry. To be successful, we're going to see if we can write simple past tense sentences using the correct sentence punctuation. We're going to see if we can use coordinating conjunctions for compound past tense sentences. We're going to see if we can use subordinating conjunctions to help us write complex past tense sentences. And we're going to see if we can up-level our vocabulary and punctuation so that we can interest the reader. We don't want to make our work boring, we want to make it as exciting and interesting as possible. So our varied sentence structure and of course our interesting vocabulary and punctuation will help us to do that. So, remember yesterday we did our checklist of a diary entry. We need to remember to keep it in the first person, writing from your point of view. So you're James, you say I instead of James did this. Past tense, it's already happened. Correct use of punctuation to make your writing really clear. Feelings from your point of view. Remember you're James, so it's writing it saying how you feel as James. Conjunctions to explain, to add a bit more detail. And of course a rhetorical question would be a good thing to put in there to ask the reader, which is probably going to be you, how you feel about something or how you felt about something happening. So for your task today, you're going to be writing a diary entry from James's perspective. And your diary entry will need to have 3 different sections. Section 1, you'll need to be thinking about your apprehension, your worry, how scared you are about entering this peach, because you're a little bit unsure about what you're going to find. Then of course you need to think about James hearing some voices and being scared when he meets the insects. And then, once he gets to know the insects and realise that they're actually not that frightening at all, he settles down and gets to know them a little bit. So 3 different sections you're going to write about. I'm going to show you my own diary entry to help you with that. So here's the first section about James's apprehension and worry about entering the peach. So I started off with Dear Diary, the way that we start our diary off, because we're writing to the diary. Today was a very strange day. It all started when this gigantic juicy peach appeared in Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker's garden. It looked so delicious that I thought I might eat it all up. When my aunts went back inside, I decided to explore a little closer. I thought there was a hole, but could it have actually been a tunnel? I just had to go inside. I stepped on the soggy, squelchy fruit floor, not knowing what I was going to find. Eventually, I reached the middle of the fruit, which I knew because I'd found the hard stone centre. So that was my first section of writing about how worried he was about going into the peach and, he was exploring but feeling a little bit apprehensive. The next section, James is going to hear the voices and be scared about meeting the insects. Suddenly, a shadow formed, covering the stone with blackness. A voice asked me how I was, but I was scared stiff and couldn't move. An insect as large as a massive dog appeared, which filled me with extreme fear. And finally, the insect's getting to know James. Luckily, the insect wasn't actually me. Once I got to know him, he turned out to be a wonderful friend. He even introduced me to the other insects, who were also terrific. I'm very excited to meet them again tomorrow. Signed, James Henry Trotter. So here's your checklist of a diary entry. In a moment I'm going to make this full screen so you can see this, so to make sure that you can use it when you're writing your own diary entry. But we need to remember all of the things from the checklist of the diary entry. Keep it in first person, past tense, using correct punctuation, feelings from your point of view because it's first person, conjunctions to explain, and maybe a rhetorical question to ask the reader, which is going to be you when you read your diary back, how you felt about something. And then there's 3 sections for you to write about. His worry about going into the peach, when he goes into the peach and starts to hear those voices, and then getting to know the insects and realise they're not as bad as he first thought.
Once you've finished your diary entry, it'd be really great if you typed some of it up and showed me on DB Primary. If you don't want to type it up, you could take a photograph of it and add it to your files.